Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome back to Connected with Jennifer Hart. I am Jennifer Hart, in case you didn't gather that. If you don't know me, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I call myself a connector, and what does that mean? Well, I connect people who are seeking change and growth in any aspect of their life or are on a spiritual path. Typically, they're always on a spiritual path, whether they know it or not, to the people, the information, the events, the resources, the tools that can help support them along the way. So basically, I service two people. The first group I described are explorers. That might be you. You're watching this, you're consuming content, you want to learn how to better your life and health and finances and business, whatever that might be. And I service the guides. These are the people who offer the services, and a lot of times the people that I'm interviewing and sharing their stories, sharing what they are doing with their, I call them their soul's calling, their soul's gifts. So that's what I do here. And on the Connected Show, we bring information to you. We might bring different events, services that people have that are available out there. And what I really like to do is just be that piece in the middle, the connector that can help you find what you need along your journey. With that being said, I did recently just launch the Guides membership. So if you're watching this and you do these types of services and you're looking to connect with more people and network and expand your business and reach more people, the Guides membership is open. And super excitingly, the Explorers membership is going to be coming this week. It'll launch at the next Call to Connect event, which is this Wednesday, the 16th of November at 5:30 until 7 p.m. And that's Pacific Standard Time. I'm in California, so I'm hanging out on the West Coast right now. And if you are free to join us, we'd love to have you. This event will be free. They're usually $15 for future if you're a non-member, and then free for all members. I will drop the links there, but I want to get to our guest today. I'm super excited. We have Miranda LaRee. She is a local guide, meaning that she's in the same area that I'm in. And we are in the central Northern California area near the Bay Area and Sacramento. I say that because she does a lot of in-person things. So if you are local to this area, this is a guide that you can connect with locally and also virtually. Okay, so Miranda is a trauma specialized life coach and hypnotherapist, among many other things. I've known her a long time now. Her business is Dawn Healing. And as I already said, she's a trauma specialized life coach and clinical hypnotherapist. She started her private practice, Dawn Healing LLC, after a decade of research, personal application, and earning 8 high-level certifications in the health and wellness realm. Since then, Miranda has successfully been helping her clients to overcome their emotional trauma and regain their physical and mental health. In order to scale her business and attain a greater number of clients, she began creating and leading large retreats and workshops and wrote more than a dozen sought after workbooks, ebooks, and prompted journals. I have seen all of this in action. In just the last year, Miranda has hosted 6 retreats, been commissioned to create a workshop and workbook for Girl Scouts Heart of Central California. Freaking awesome. And she's been featured on the She Powered podcast, Jennifer Hart Connected, and in 209 magazine. I'm so excited to have her here with me today. Welcome.
Hi.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And okay, so I want to tell people what's happening with the Connected Show and the Connected Soul Network membership. I didn't even say what my membership was called earlier, but it's called the Connected Soul Network membership. And what I'm doing, huge shout out to Danny Muniz, and she has helped me to kind of tap in. She's an astrologist, and she's helped me to tap into what is the topics that are great in the collective right now. And so today, what the topics were, and I want to say this because it all ties in, it was home, family roots, nurturing relationships with women. And so, what I took that as that it would be great to talk with Miranda, because this is kind of her area of expertise, is this generational healing and trauma. And what Miranda does is very nurturing. I've been to her events, I've been to a workshop and retreat phenomenal, highly recommend. And she's building a sisterhood. So guys, stick around. Although Miranda doesn't service men at this time, you will there's still a ton of information that you can take away just by watching. And also, you might know someone, probably your mother, your sister, your girlfriend, your friend, that would be interested in potentially attending one of Miranda's awesome retreats, workshops. She has a membership we're going to talk about. She has lots of things. So, Miranda, let's start first. Just tell me how you kind of got into doing what you're doing. I mean, I mentioned just a smidge in the bio, but tell me more.
It really was just a lifetime of trauma. My mom had a very traumatic life. My grandmother had a traumatic life. And as I started to see the patterns repeated in our family, it was like, no more. And so I've really dedicated my life to being the one who stops the cycles so that it doesn't get passed on to my daughters and they're not then carrying this around too. Some of it has already been passed down. But for the most part, I wanted to end it all as far as the trauma goes, and living those same patterns of abuse and abandonment. My mom did break the addiction cycle, thankfully, so there hasn't been any addiction passed on to me or to my children. But abandonment and that's a big one for me. It's one I'm still working through. The abuse one, the violence and things like that, sexual abuse, were still passed down to me. Thankfully, I think I broke those for my children. But that's what led me to all of this healing work.
Andy didn't like that when you talked about the abuse. He was like, no more. There'll be more.
You heard him.
He's been on the Connected show too when we had the animal communicator on. I just had to mention that. I love that. I love that you mentioned about breaking the generational patterns. That's becoming a very talked about thing. And I love it. Like my friend, she had mentioned, she's like, I think that every generation naturally, without even doing this work, we're trying to just do better than what we knew. So we're always improving. And why I do this work is because I want to exponentially like grow that, so it's like, yes, I can be aware and do better, but if I do the inner healing work myself, I will be able to take it from just a little bit better to a lot better. Like that's the way I look at it. And it's so funny. This is what was coming through when you were talking. I had another friend that's like, oh my God, I'm so scared to do this work. Like now that you've talked about all these things, I'm so scared because of what I'm already passing down or have passed down to my kids. And you said that. And that's the thing, is that's also normal. Like you're okay. It's part of like why we come here as souls, to have a human experience and to experience these things. And it's a lot bigger picture than that. And so you're not doing anything wrong, but if you feel that calling that you want to start, I feel like it's nudges, like things happen and it's like these little spiritual awakenings happen, like something changes in your life and you're like, I want to do better. Like you said, I want to do better and I don't want to pass it on to my kids. Some stuff happens and that's okay. And now I'm already teaching them and modeling for them, like what we can do to do the work ourselves. And that's so important. And I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, I really love that too. I think learning that our trauma doesn't have to stay this super negative thing that causes all of these poor choices and reactions. Learning that once we can kind of transmute that energy from those, that then they can be positive experiences. Like taking abandonment, for instance. Like I've noticed working through, a lot of people with abandonment issues tend to be very codependent, hugely codependent. It can lead to addiction more than any other early childhood trauma. But it can also lead to somebody who deeply appreciates connection, really true heartfelt connection. And it also develops people who create that. But you have to move out of the codependency space to get to the actual genuine connection space.
Yeah. Yep. I know all about that. Working through it always. So we were talking about this earlier and I was telling Miranda before we got on that I want my people in my container to always know that I'm doing the work alongside them, because what I have seen, and I still see it in myself, is I look at people and I put them up on a pedestal, like, oh my god, like they're so amazing, and then when they make a mistake, it's like I forget that they're human, and so I want people to always know that, like, what I'm creating and what I'm doing, and guides that are in the membership like yourself, that we are also human and we're doing the work and learning and being and doing all the things right alongside of you, so that we are leading, but we're also like holding your hand and supporting as a counterpart, we were talking about that earlier. So I was like, we have to mention that because I think it's so important, especially when we're making these huge changes in our lives. And this is why I love what you're doing, is because you're creating the support for women to be able to show up and be supported to release and let go and, have that the for me, my trauma is safety. So it's like you were talking about the abandonment, my biggest thing is feeling safe. And so how I see that show up in my life is like I have to create that safety for myself, and you have to start with finding people who make you feel safe. So like I went to one of Miranda's weekend retreats, which was awesome, and we did some breath work, and like that was so cool. I had to choose to let go. And I knew Miranda would support me. And then, Mari was there, one of her business partners, and they were phenomenal. And they really held the space for me and supported me through that. And like, God, it was just a magical experience. So I wanted to bring that up because it was so, that was the first time like I've done like a true breathwork session. Like I've done small pieces, and like going to an actual breathwork session was way different. And like that, I feel like really helped me to see like how important it is to create those spaces and those containers. And that's what you're doing now in your membership, right?
Yeah, with the membership, I'm creating a sisterhood. So what I love about the retreats is the intensity,
Yeah.
especially the 5-day Heal Your Shit retreat. It's so intense. But with that intensity, right afterwards comes the contrast, right? Where people tend to come from this big high and then they go into a really low low afterwards. And that's completely normal. That's part of contrast. But what happens sometimes with that is then they tend to fall off because fear comes in. They make, then there's space for fear to take hold, and overwhelm can take hold. And so sometimes they forget that they have this community to reach out to. And so with the membership, I'm creating a 1-year program of all the workshops that we do at the retreat. Well, the majority of them. I have like 20 workshops at the live retreat, but we're doing 12 of the workshops, of the more foundational workshops throughout the year. And this allows for us to have a whole month to dedicate to each workshop and really build it as a foundation, really letting the work become habit, and so that it becomes a new normal, and creating it with other women so that, one, you're not alone, and two, you also have some accountability. There's people who are going to check in on you. There's people you're going to want to check in on when you see that they're not showing up. And so we create this sisterhood, and it's so deeply bonded because we create such a safety, right? A safe space for people to be incredibly vulnerable. And it's so freaking magical and beautiful to see it happen. I'm really excited. We start December 1st.
That's super exciting. And so I know I actually referred someone to go to your last Heal Your Shit retreat, and I should have asked her if she was free to come on. We can go to a live testimonial from her. But
She's actually right now. I do know that. So
yeah, I saw that. But she had shared with me just how powerful and transformational the actual. So Miranda does these longer 5-day retreats called Heal Your Shit, and she had attended that, and she just said it was life changing. As have a couple other people that I've spoke to that have attended. And so I love what you did with creating the membership. It's the after support, because as a person that has gone to a lot of workshops and retreats, you're exactly right. It's like you come off and you have this like huge moment and you're like, oh my god, like everything's amazing. And then like the next week when you reintegrate back into life and you are faced with the real life situations of other people who didn't go to the retreat, who are still in their trauma and maybe aren't on the same level. Like, how do you interact and how do you integrate? And so it's nice that you have like the membership to be able to constantly support that and continue to do the work.
Right. And on that note, with people who haven't faced their trauma, you are also still going to uncover another layer of your trauma. It's like your body went, oh, we're doing this. And it's like, okay, well, here, I've got this one. And then another part of your body's like, and I've got this one. And another part of your body's like, I got this one. And everything wants your attention, and everything's like, let's just get it all done. And it can be very overwhelming. But it is part of the healing process to have these ebbs and flows and these ups and downs. And like I said, it's in that contrast.
Yeah. I want to say, so when you were saying that, like what the thought that came through for me is a lot of people are scared to do the work because of it is highs and lows. Like, honestly, I've experienced several of them myself. And what I really, 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 really want to emphasize is that in the peaks and valleys, when you're in the low, there's always going to be the high on the other end. And like I remember I was walking when I was coming out, I think of the low, and it was like on the other side of pain is peace. And so what I'm always working towards is that feeling when I have released something and I've shed a part of me and I'm stepping into a new being and a new way of being. And it feels so amazing. You know what I mean? And it's like, I know that the lows were totally worth it. And so I want people to know that doing the work can be hard, could be looked at as hard, but it is so worth it. And it's important because it not only impacts you, but it impacts every single person around you. So when I do the work, what I've learned is I can't make anybody do the work, right? I'm here to help people who want to help themselves. And that's so important because I'm a recovering rescuer. We talk about codependency. I like to come in and be like, oh, I see problems. Let me fix it. First of all, I need to fix and work on myself first. So it's a distraction. We know that, right? And then two, I can't help people who don't want to help themselves. And so I have learned I'm just calling in the people and I'm giving them resources of like you who can help the people who are ready to be helped, right? I see you have something to say, so I'll let you come in and
I'm like, yes, keep going.
Okay. Going. So I do the work. What happens is I shed and I become a new person every time. And then that ripples out to those around me. So when I do the work, other people start to also heal and change. Like, it's the craziest, coolest thing ever. And when you start to do the work yourself, you will see it. You will see, because when you show up different, you create the space for someone else to show up differently.
And I think
I'm going off on that tangent, but that just came true.
I love it. I love it so much because what's also happening, yes, all of that is happening. Like, I like how you said you've shed, right? You've shed some of this armoring, some of this protection, right? That we put on to keep ourselves safe from like the trauma we experienced before we were able to cope with it.
Yeah.
And what happens is, yes, we become a new person, but we're also unbecoming, right? What we had to be. And we get to then re-become who we originally were. And it's both simultaneously happening at the same time, of new and old, And there was another part you touched on, and I was like, yes, it's so beautiful. But
we get to recreate, and then when we show up differently. And what I love is I know when I have done the work and healed something, because something that triggered me before, and just to the word is used a lot. So to us, we know exactly what a trigger is. But in case you're watching this and you're like, what's a trigger? It's like when you're getting poked and something bothers you. So like you're super upset or offended by something that someone said or a way that someone acted. There might be something there for you to look at that might need healing. That's not always the case. Maybe you need boundaries, but it's never black and white. But it's like that. I see when those triggers no longer affect me, I know that I've done the healing work. But new ones are always going to pop up, right? With this is like the point of this life is
It's not always like that. It's not like, oh, all of a sudden they don't bother you anymore. It's usually a process of reminding yourself that it doesn't need to bother you anymore, that you've worked through this and you're able to. I like to always remind myself that there's 360 degrees to every perspective.
Yeah.
So, when I'm a big one for almost everybody that can relate to is when you're driving and you have like some kind of road rage. Somebody triggers you because they either cut you off or they didn't use a blinker or they were inconsiderate in some type of way that made you feel as if you were less important than them. Their time is more important than yours. Any of those kind of things. And so then I have to, again, remind myself 360 degrees. What is their perspective? Maybe they're in a hurry. Maybe they weren't paying attention. Maybe they're lost. Maybe they're on their phone. Maybe they're distracted in some other way. Who knows what it is? But it wasn't about me. Because just like when I'm driving, they're all just a bunch of cars. I'm just a car. And so that really helps me as one example, right? To not let other drivers bother me while I'm driving anymore.
That's so funny you brought that up because I literally wrote the other day a blog that I haven't posted. It's just in my notes right now. And it was like, it's not all about you. And it's specifically about that because the biggest thing I learned in one of my workshops is that what I tend to do, and maybe people can relate with this, the person I used to be, and I still, at least I'm aware now to be able to catch it, is exactly what you said. Like I go, oh my God, like this person did this to me, or they're not writing me back. Like, and it's because they're mad at me. It's not about me. Maybe they're just freaking busy. You know what I mean? But it's like, you can see that in all aspects of life. And I love that you use the road rage thing because I see so many people that are so angry. And I'm like, there's something for you to look at there. So if you have major road rage, like there's something a lot deeper. And I have noticed as I've done the work that I am way more chill on the road. I don't think I was ever a huge road rager, maybe like just a little bit, not compared to other people. But I see now that I'm just like, like cruising along, like I give myself extra time. And I'm always like thinking, well, what's going on with them? Like, okay, so I used to have to go to the bathroom like a lot because I have gut issues that I'm working through. And Western medicine said it's ulcerative colitis. So if you're watching this, you maybe have heard the term. It would fall under the irritable bowel disease, not irritable bowel syndrome, although they're related. And so sometimes I might be speeding like crazy to get to a bathroom. So I always think of that for other people. I'm like, maybe they got to go to the bathroom like I used to have to. It's way better now, but I like to share personal stories that people might relate to, and no one wants to talk about going to the bathroom, but look, we all got to do it. So, but yeah, so it's like so important to do this work, and that's why I'm here to do my calling. My calling is to just connect people, to bring on a variety of people, for people to see who resonates with them. What kind of services do they want to do? I'm a person that wants to like test everything out. I'm like, let me try it all. I want to try all the modalities. I want to go to see all the people. I want to go to all the workshops. That's what I love to do. And then I get little pieces and I learn a lot. And then I come back and I share it. Like that is my soul's work and my soul's calling. And that's what I'm doing in my membership. And then you are specifically helping women to nurture their relationships with themselves, with other women, because there are a lot of sisterhood wounds out there from generational trauma, past life trauma.
That earlier mean girl era.
Yes.
We don't do that anymore.
I was a mean girl. And then I got mean girled to me. And when I got mean girled and I saw how it was on the other side, I then became an advocate for people that were being bullied or, taken care of. But there's always sisterhood wounds to look at. And so I love that you're creating that safe container and that space for us to work on all of these things together. And you are doing a promotion this month, right, for the membership?
Yes, because like we already discussed, I'm practically like giving it away anyway.
Yes.
For the month of, not for the entire month, but I wanted to come up with like one last deal before we get started. And so, I'm not a big fan of like the whole Black Friday mentality, but I wanted to give something away in gratitude. And, it's part of the Thanksgiving spirit and the transmutation of Thanksgiving. So for, until, what is it, the November 28th, I think it
The
is.
28th. Cyber Monday.
Yeah.
November 28th, California Pacific Standard Time, 11:59 p.m.
You can use the code THANKFUL to get the entire membership for one whole year for only $222.
Which, let me just tell you, people, that is only, if you break it down, it is one payment of a year. We need commitment. Not we. Miranda needs commitment from you. But that is $18.50 a month. Like, it is so doable. I highly recommend it. So let's talk about what is in the membership. So we should have did that first, but that's fine. I just go where I'm guided to go. So what are they going to get when they sign up for the membership?
So every month we're going to cover one of the workshops that is normally at the Heal Your Shit retreat.
Okay.
But we're going to use an entire month to really work through the workshop, to really get it integrated and make it a new part of our normal.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, you're also going to be getting a workbook for each one, a hypnotherapy audio for each one, and then the sisterhood. To me, that's the most important part of all of it. Yes, there's great value in the workshops I've created and workbooks. The journals, you're getting a journal with journal prompts to help you through. There will be some homework, that kind of thing. But being just a member of this sisterhood it's really one of the most healing aspects for anybody, for anything, because healing isn't done by yourself. I mean, it is and it isn't, right? Like, Jennifer, like, we have to do the work. But there is so much healing in just having a community. And to have a community that is also healing with you and doing the work right alongside you is invaluable.
It really is. And it's very bonding because you can understand what you're going through. So, like, when I first started my journey, I don't even know, like 10 or 12 years ago, I felt like there was people that were around me that weren't in the same space that I was at the time. And so the universe was nice and started to attract people that were on the same path as me. And I still have the friends and people that weren't, but like it's just different conversations when I'm with certain people and a different focus. And having the people that understood where I was at, what I was thinking, what I wanted to do, what I was going through, and being able to speak to them about it was phenomenal. Like, it was life changing. And so now, I know how important a community is, which is why I started my membership for the guides. Because when I was starting, well, I thought I was going to be a coach, right? That's what everyone had always told me. You're going to be like a life coach. And then what I found out is that didn't really feel good to me. I wanted to be a connector. And so I was like, screw what everybody says I think I should do. I'm going to follow my own calling and be a connector. And I'm going to make the community that I needed when I was first getting into business, because I started to do like an in-person event workshop and then I got stopped and I didn't have anybody to support me. I didn't have the right people around me, which is what you've created with your sisterhood and your membership. Is while you're on this journey, you're being held with these other people. So if Miranda's not free to support you, you call a sister and you're like, hey, I need some support right now. And that's part of the healing work, is because you're actually forcing yourself to reach out and get help, because that is one trauma that a lot of people struggle with, self included, talking about myself here, is asking for help and receiving help. And those are two things that are like really, really hard for people to do. So that's part of the integration and embodiment of doing and being the work.
Yeah.
Ta-da. Okay, so what does the monthly membership look like? Just in case anyone's listening to this and they're like, okay, this sounds really cool. I want to know more. Like, how are you meeting? Is it in person? Do they have to live here? Or is it virtual?
It is all virtual. There is a private Facebook group, and all of the meetings will be on Zoom. They will be recorded. We meet Tuesdays at 8 p.m. It's the first 3 Tuesdays of the month. So you will have at least 1 week off a month to process, to just kind of like let that sink in. Sometimes it'll be 2 weeks because sometimes there's 5 Tuesdays in a month. And what was your other question? I'm sorry.
So time that you meet is Tuesdays at 8 p.m. That's Pacific Standard Time. If you can't make it live, you can catch the recording.
The recording, I do encourage you to be live though. That way you can ask any questions and you can be part of the discussions.
Yeah. I love that you give time off because the integration time is needed. I've been to a lot of workshops and long-term programs, and it's like sometimes there's so much stuff happening that it's like, ah. So I love the integration period. Brilliant. And then you also said there's the hypnotherapy audio for the month, and then there's a workbook.
What?
A workbook, right?
The workbooks will be uploaded along with the hypnotherapy audio first of every month, and so you'll have that all month long to go through. And you are encouraged to like get a binder and print out your workbook, keep it all together.
Okay, this is still a video, people. Like, I'm just saying, like, if you're interested, I will put the link to register in the captions. And so some of the things, like, what are results and benefits that people, if they decide to do this, and just in general, if people decide to like start working and looking at themselves and healing themselves, like, what are results and benefits that people are going to get for this?
My hope for them is to get to a place where they can start to really just trust themselves. So many people don't trust themselves. They think they don't trust other people or they can't trust others because it's really trusting yourself.
Yep.
And so that's one of the main things. But also just so you walk around life looking at it without that trauma in front of it, not clouded by your past negative experiences. Being able to transmute that energy and just see life, I don't want to say, but in a more positive way, to feel less anxiety, less depression, to be able to sleep better, to be able to make real, genuine friendships and not have to live in, I used to be in those shallows of like gossip and small talk, things that like really just don't matter. I think with every layer of trauma that's shed, as you get closer and closer to yourself, you see what's truly important to you and find out who you really are. And so that's really my hope for everybody going through all of these processes, just to feel that sense of freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. What I want to add to that is if you feel any like calling to start doing the work, just be curious, show up, check it out. I mean, if somebody wanted to chat with you more before joining, if they had questions or if they wanted to do anything, is that possible that they can actually connect with you? And
absolutely. You can find me on Facebook, Miranda LaRee, Instagram, Miranda LaRee, all one word. You can find my website, dawnhealing.co. A lot of people type in .com. That's not me. That's somebody else.
I'll put it in the links too, so people can connect with you. Because what I want to tell people is just if you feel any nudge or curiosity, follow it. There's something there. Miranda would have something to offer you. There's something to learn. But it is also important to make sure you find the right fit, which is why I do these interviews. I do my events so that people can see and kind of start to feel within themselves. But I love what you said about the trust, because that is something I have been working on tremendously for myself, is trusting in myself of my decisions and what I'm doing. Am I going to be able to make a decision, make a right decision? And what I saw my root cause was the lack of trust in myself. And the more that I do this work, and now that I have that awareness, like every day I just repeat the affirmation, I trust myself, I trust myself, I trust myself. I can literally see in real time, especially as I'm building this membership, I have to freaking trust myself that I am now providing something to people that I have to show up all the time. And there's nobody else above me to be responsible or accountable for this. I am the CEO of my business. And I'm like, I have to trust myself that I am making the right decisions. And doing that work is helping me to shed the layers, or as you were saying, the trauma lens of being able to make better decisions, make faster decisions, have quicker judgments, know what my intuition is saying, being able to read my body and to be able to get in touch and go, ooh, my stomach, when I talk to that person, it's very tight. What is that? And being able to explore those things. So doing this work will help get those results, which will impact your life in all ways. It'll impact not always like ALWAYS. It's all ways. Yeah, yeah. ALL.
In
Um,
all the
in
ways.
all the ways. I was just speaking so fast. I was like, wait, correct that. But yes, in all aspects of life, your relationships, your business, your career, your romantic life, your friendships. So
Right.
you know me, I'm just all for it. That's like what my passion is, personal development and spirituality. So anything that I can connect people with that might help them, I love it. And like the other things that are going to naturally come through is you're going to have epiphanies and ahas about the generational patterns and the family traumas that have been passed down, also paired with like things you might have experienced in your own life and how it impacts you, and it puts those lenses on, and when you start to take the lenses off, you see life in a whole new way. It's crazy, but
It
it's like,
is. It's so funny with all the, all of the testimonies I've ever received are 100% positive. On all of the reviews, that's all 5-star reviews from every guest that's ever attended a retreat. But when they try to write out what they're saying, most of them are like, I just can't describe it. I can't describe it. It's so hard to put into words that feeling.
yeah.
It is more of a feeling of, but it really does usually come down to that sense of freedom from your past.
Yes. Well, and the thing is, this was like the best takeaway I had from one of workshops that I attended was you don't know what you don't know. And so you get to know what you don't know by doing things like this, where you're put out of your comfort zone and you just are following your curiosity and you're being open. And then all of a sudden, things appear to you and you have like that's where I was saying you have like the epiphanies and the breakthroughs and the ahas and you're like, oh shit, like I didn't realize that that impacted me like that, and when that happened I created this belief which is now showing up in my life. And like, you know, little Jennifer at 5 is running the show over here like and I don't even know it because it's in our subconscious and this blind spot that I got going on. And that's what I love about like doing the work, because I just get to see what's going on underneath the layers that's actually creating the layers on the outside of me.
Like, I don't know if I don't know if you've been to therapy. I've been seen so many therapists throughout my life. It's ridiculous. Therapists, counselors,
Yeah.
psychiatrists, the whole thing, the whole gang. And it's like when you go to sit on their couch and you have no idea what you're going to talk about that day, but something always comes up.
Right.
You
Sure.
go to write, like something's bothering you. I love to free write. And so I'll just put pen to paper sometimes, not knowing what's going to come out, no intention set on what I'm going to write. And eventually the page tells me, what's going on inside me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And attending these type of workshops, it has that same kind of effect. Some people call it like a grab bag effect. I've heard that term used. You just don't ever know what's inside that wants to come out. You just have that pull, that feeling that something does want to come out.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. It's a great way to say it. So tell me about, because you have the membership, but you also have your next Heal Your Shit retreat already up and running, ready for bookings. You do have limited spots available, and it is actually you're out, which I love, because then people have the option to start saving or making payments to be able to attend. Tell us about that.
Yeah, actually, it's in June, so we're like 7 months out now. June 21st through the 25th at Mandala Springs, which is up near Napa, and it's a 5-day intense retreat. Lots of healing. We do everything from the beginning with setting an intention, and we work on resiliency and forgiveness and self-love and deep sense of gratitude of not just like making your gratitude list and making gratitude part of your daily practice, but really learning to transmute the energy of the shit we've been through into something we can actually be grateful for. So taking that shit and making it fertilizer for our lives. We do a lot of somatic releasing. We do the conscious breath work.
And somatic releasing, just because I always like to think that people don't know what these terms mean. Can you give just a quick definition of what that means?
Somatic is just your body. So releasing from the body.
Perfect.
And that can be through like movement, through breath, through there's so many
dance. Yeah.
Laughing, screaming, yelling, any of those type of things. We do work with a lot of expression. We rewrite our story. We have someone that comes in and teaches tantra, so which is all embodiment. And for the women out there, we work with sexual trauma. It's just an incredible experience. I can't even. It is intensive though, and we go from we start at like 5 a.m. Those are optional though for the meditation and yoga that's in the morning. But we start workshops by 9 a.m. and we go until 10 p.m. every night. It is a lot of work. But again,
like healing on steroids, basically.
It is.
Yeah. And then all lodging and food is included.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. I'll put the link to that too. Do you know off the top of your head the payments and amount? I'm throwing this at her. I didn't tell her we were going to talk about
no, right?
That's okay. Well, if you're curious about it, check out the link. She has payment plans available, and you can start making payments now to secure your spot. And there's plenty of time. It's during summer, so if you're a teacher, there's no excuse. Because I know
there is time, but there are only, I think, 3 spots left. So
only 3 spots left. Period.
Hold on. 5. There's 5 spots left.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so if you pay in full, by November 30th, it's $32.10. After November 30th, it's $39.60. If you want to make a payment plan, the deposit's $1,000, and then you do pay the $39.60 with the payment plan.
Okay. Look at she is on top of it. She busted that out real quick. And then
sorry.
No, you go ahead.
If you're doing the payment plan, the balance has to be paid by April 21st.
Plenty of time. Of time. Okay. And then just a teaser, you are planning a Costa Rica retreat in 2024.
Mexico retreat and a Costa Rica retreat. So Mexico will also be in 2023. The date has not been set. And then Costa Rica is spring of 2024.
Okay.
I know.
That's super exciting. So if you like to do retreats, Miranda is an amazing person to follow. She puts on good retreats. She thinks of all the details. She's very nurturing, one of the topics for today, which I was like, that's why you need to speak for today's date. And then we have the membership for sale. And the membership, we didn't talk about this, but we just want to say it's beta. So like you and I are in the same boat of this. I'm just starting my membership and I have the guides up and running. And then it's founding member prices. Explorers are going to go up this week. You have started yours and both are in beta. What does that mean? That means that we are all growing together, that you have founding member awesome discounted prices because we are building this as we go. So it's kind of like you get the discount because we're learning together, growing together, and evolving together, which is really fun. And honestly, like it's really exciting to be a part of somebody's like foundation and seeing it grow. And I say that because it also, in my opinion, gives people the realization that they can create something like this themselves. Because I just know that so many people have these huge dreams and everything else. And, like we were talking about, when people just do it so perfectly online, it just makes it look unobtainable. That's why
Mhm.
I'm always like, oh shit, I messed up. Like the one time that I used StreamYard the first time, I tried something new and I forgot to turn the live off. And so you got like behind the scenes. I had no idea it was still running. And you can hear me. I'm on the phone. I called the person that I had done the live with. And it was like, I was mortified. And I was like, oh my God, how embarrassing. And you know what I did? I decided to let it stay. I was like, this is real life. This is like being in action and being a human. And I want people to know that like shit happens and it's okay. That's like that relatable part, right?
Right. And it's so important, like you said, for people to see that, because that it's okay. Because when you see somebody only succeeding without seeing, like, people think that success goes like this. Like, we've seen those maps, right? Where no, it really looks like this, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
But we don't show it. And if
Yeah.
you show it, then it is, again, more obtainable. Like you said, people don't
Yeah.
feel like they're a failure just because they failed at something. You know what I mean? They
Right.
don't internalize that failure as like something to be ashamed of. It's literally part of growth. I Every time I fail, I think of a baby learning to walk, and I'm like, that baby had. If you've ever watched a baby learn to walk, they fall hundreds of times before
Right.
they actually walk,
Yeah.
and the no baby just quits. Otherwise, we'd all be just crawling around the floor still.
Right. And I don't see anybody crawling around the floor. So it's like we've all been there. But at some point, society has turned into failures as a bad thing with a negative connotation. But really, it's like celebrating those is what's going to get us further. Being human, having those conversations, having communication, and learning how to deal and be with those types of things is like where the action's at, where the work happens, where you have it everything you've read and practice is happening in the real time. So I love just how it all kind of ties together. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
No, I think we covered everything.
If anybody has any questions, you can drop it in the comments. One of us will get back to you. If you want to connect with Miranda personally, because you have specific questions before you want to enroll for anything, I will get you connected. Just send me a message, drop a comment. I will put her website and the links to the actual events in the caption, so you'll be able to find it there. And then if you are interested in the Connected Soul Network membership, I'll put those links too. So there'll be 100 links for you to look at. If you have any questions, just let me know. Thank you so much for your time today and for sharing what you're up to in the world, how you are helping to move people and humanity forward and to raise the consciousness of ourselves and of the planet. I appreciate the work that you do, and I hope that we inspire other people to start their own healing journey, get back into it, or even maybe start their uh, like future, I don't want to say job, but future calling,
Yeah,
answering their soul's calling as a guide themselves, you know?
yeah, I would love to see people expand into their greatest self. And I
Yeah.
just want to thank you for having me on, for creating this space. Everybody can also find me on your Connected Soul Network and the awesome membership you just started as a guide. I'd love to see more guides in there to connect with and just bounce ideas off of. But you are one of my favorite people, so I always love getting to talk to you
Thank
and
you.
meeting your presence. So
Yes, yeah, I didn't really say that, but Miranda is a guide in the membership, and she has been coming to the events, and she's made some great connections, and she's always looking to make more. I have big plans for the membership, but it's like I am building it as I go. So I do see in the future, like let's do some masterminds with other guides and some accountability working sessions. But that is all going to transpire in natural time. I'm like, right now, I'm just getting everybody settled and the foundation built. And we have the Call to Connect events, which are live right now. And you might be seeing Miranda at one of those pretty soon. You can connect with her there or yeah, I will have her guide profile up soon. And then you can check out all the great things and follow her on all the places. So thanks everyone for tuning in. We love you lots. Have an amazing day.